Rampaging through the shires of the Halflings, the Riftforged Orcs make their tournament debut. Hello everyone, it's Caffeinated Warlord. Welcome to another battle report, this time covering the first tournament game of my Riftforged Orcs. So this tournament was just a little one-day tournament that we have quite often here in Melbourne, which is a good thing to have, you know, just to keep you practicing in between those big tournaments. Now this one is just 2,100 points, and it's 3 games in a day. The 2,100 points is an interesting point level, but it was picked because Convict, an upcoming 2-day event held in Melbourne, specifically in Springvale, is coming up in August, and that's what I want to take my Riftforged Orcs to. So this is all practice to make sure I can at least place in the top 50%, because that's usually what I aim for. Trying to get an actual, podium, that's probably out of the question, but you never know. But if I practice enough, at least I can hopefully get in the top 50%. So 2,100 points is interesting because it's a little bit more than 1995, which means you're also restricted just to 2 things. So you can still spam the 3 of, you know, your monsters, your war engines, what have you. But that is not so good because at 2,100 points, spamming them means that you will be taking up quite a bit of points and you'll have to cut something. Something has to give. And I definitely feel that when I'm making my Riftforged Orcs lists. So what did I take? Well, this will be familiar to people that saw my last video. The 2,100 points of Riftforged Orcs includes first 1 regiment of Unforged Orcs. These are very basic orcs, defense 4, melee 4, very average, but they do have the classic crushing 1, and they do benefit from rally 2 rather than rally 1 from the war drum. These are probably the cheapest orc regiment you can get in the Riftforged Orc line, and that's by being cheap, there's some unlock. So that's really what they are. They're just unlocking. Then I have a horde of Riftforged Legionaries, because why not, when you're in Orcs, get a horde of Legionaries? Also, because I got an army box and a Storm in the Shires box, I had so many Orcs, it easily can make up a horde, so I thought, why not? Let's make a nice, big, impressive horde. Then I have a troop of Riftwalkers, which are very good chaff because they're fearless, they're nimble, they fly. They only move speed 7, so they're not fast like flying things, but they're fast enough. They're faster than Orcs, which are only speed 5, and they hit reasonably hard. Melee 4, but they do have crushing 1, so you never really want to give them a flank. And they have Strider, so that they can take advantage of most flanks regardless of terrain. So they're good little dudes, and by being fearless, you don't have to worry about them wavering, which is always a good thing for chaff. Then we start getting into some real hammers. We got the horde of Hellstrikers. So the Hellstrikers are the dudes on Manticores. They're pretty much Drakon Riders, but they have Life Leech. And these guys have got the Staying Stone because, well, I had just 10 points left over, so 5 points goes to this classic of items, just to help them waver a little less because they won't be anywhere near the Stormforged Shrine. And yeah, they're just good unit to have. Always would like to put an item on them to make them even stronger, because sometimes they just hit not quite hard enough, but they are already quite expensive. So, gotta keep them somewhat cheap. Then we have what really the whole list, I wouldn't say is built around, but it's something I definitely want to include, and that was 3 Ambrox. The Ambrox, for those that are unfamiliar, and the name doesn't really tell you what they do, are a shooting bug. There's kind of bug monster that, you know, staggers around and blasts out some kind of lightning energy bolts. That are 3 shots, blast D3, piercing 1, and they shoot on 4s. With steady aim, so you know they're pretty good. And they're nimble, so they can get around pretty easily. And what I've been trying to do is intersperse them in my lines, so that they can kind of get in the way when they need to. They can go up in front and stop things from multi-charging, and the whole time still put out damage with their shooting. So they're a very nice unit to have in this army that otherwise has limited shooting. Then I have 1 War Drum because I need that rally, and it has rally 1 for all the things that are Riftforged, and rally 2 for the things that are Orcs. So I think you can figure that out. Then we have a Stormforged Shrine. The Stormforged Shrine is a fantastic unit that I think most Riftforged Orc lists will benefit from, because it has a Fury Aura. So that already is very useful. It just has a Fury Aura that can help all units just keep punching. But it also has a bunch of spells, and it can cast most of them. So it has Lightning Bolt for the early game, just to, you know, plink off some damage. But what it really has is the Host Shadow Beast and Bane Chant, which it can cast one after the other and keep going until it depletes how many dice it can use. So it can cast, and then the next spell it casts is -1 dice. So obviously, once you get to 0, that's it. And you have to be successful with that casting to cast the next one. So you can't just kind of keep trying. It also benefits from having lots of units nearby to get more casting up to +3. So yeah, it's capable of, you know, I've done a string of up to 4 Bane chants and stuff. So it's a very good unit to have in the list. Then I have one Riftforger just with the Blade of Slashing. So the Riftforger benefits directly from that Host Shadow Beast from the Stormforged Shrine, so he gets those extra attacks. He's a fantastic, very cheap hero with some decent crushing, and so he already puts out quite a bit of damage. He has 3 attacks, and with the Blade of Slashing, he's more likely than not going to do 2 to 3 damage. But yeah, with the Host Shadow Beast of 4 on top of that, he can almost chip in up to 4 to 6 damage each time he goes in, and that's just a little dude hitting in on the side. So very helpful in adding damage to all the other units. Then I have a Stormbringer on Hellstrike Manticore, and that's just someone to accompany and give inspiring to the Hellstrikers. So it's just your classic kind of flying monster that just has that 5 attack kind of profile, Thunder 1, Crushing 1, or maybe Crushing 2. But anyway, he's just your classic kind of accompaniment to anything fast. And he can also be a fast flanker by himself, were I to do so. And then finally I have the formation that is the Iron Boots. It's a very basic kind of formation. It's just 2 Riftforged Legionaries and 1 Reborn Legionaries. So the 2 Riftforged Legionaries, they're just the horde, but obviously smaller because it's a regiment. They get a bump in nerve by being in the formation, and that's all they get. Fantastic. I mean, why not? But what you also get is the Reborn Legionaries, who also get a bump in nerve, and they get a Wild Charge D3 aura for Orc only. It's not plus D3, it's just D3, so it doesn't actually stack with some units that already have Wild Charge, such as the Morax, which you think would be a great addition. It really just gives D3 to something that doesn't have it, so it's okay. Really doesn't come up very much. I mean, they do give Wild Charge to the Unforged Orcs at the top of this list, but that's about it for synergies. So let's get on into the Halflings that I'm going against. So this was Mitchell and his Halflings, and these are, when I show the pictures, you see a bit on the side, they are a pretty cool looking army. I don't mind them being historical miniatures, not actually the Mantic ones. There's a few Mantic ones in there, obviously, because there's no such thing as aeronauts in the Napoleonic armies of old. But the Halfling rifle hordes of just all those Napoleonic rifles, I don't know what they're called, the soldiers, yeah. But since they're smaller, the scale is smaller, it just works well. So he has 2 Halflings rifles hordes. You know, they're not the optimal thing to take, but I mean, these guys have got guns and bayonets. What else are they going to be? Halfling rifle hordes is what they will be. And I mean, they've got piercing 1, so they're not bad. Then we have 2 Edge Grenadiers, which are regiments, obviously. Fast chaff, get in the way, and they also have brutal D3. And he's given them Relentless, which allows them, I think, to re-roll up to 3 dice in a combat. To hit? Maybe. I think he used them in all cases, but I can't remember. They've got Relentless. Then we have 2 hordes of Forest Trolls, which are some of the best trolls in the game. Much to my chagrin, because I'm playing Goblins quite often, and those trolls are not great. Whereas these guys do not suffer from the big bracket that trolls typically have, where they have a 3 differential between their nerves and their rout, which is a bit between their rout and the waver. But you know, what are you going to do? They also have Pathfinders. They don't get stuck in terrain, so while they hit on 4s, they'll probably always be hitting on 4s, unlike my trolls. Anyway, very good trolls. Got to watch out for them because they are the ones bringing the crushing. Then we have a regiment of Juggers, also with Relentless. So these are the knights, the dog-riding knights of the army. Still nimble, so you've got to watch out with their flanks. And then we have 2 troops of Wild Runners with black powder weapons. So they're good shooting, they're chaff, but also they still actually have melee 4+, so they're still pretty good at charging into your flanks. So you also have to watch out for them because they are also nimble and very fast, speed 9 I believe. Then we have what every list needs at least one of, but usually they have 2 or 3, is a regiment of aeronauts, and these are obviously, for good reason, a lot of people take these very seriously because they have the ability to always hit on 4s, no matter what. So Trident Realms definitely don't like them. And they have Blast D6, or D3. No, yeah, Blast D3, but with 9 attacks, that can really go out of hand. And yeah, Blade of Slashing, just to make sure they can get more of their hits in. So yeah, these Crushing 2, lots of damage. These guys can do a lot of damage, or they can do no damage, so it depends. But yeah, they're definitely something you have to respect. Then we have an Iron Beast upgraded with the Pride of the Shires, because that's what you always do if you have one Iron Beast, is you give it Pride of the Shires so that it can give you a headstrong aura to your nearby halflings. And then we have a Sorcerer mounted on miniature Arrowlairs with the Inspiring Talisman, which is always a good combination and will be accompanying those Juggers and Wild Runners, so it's able to keep up with them all. So it's got a fast contingent, we've got a shooty contingent of Halfling rifles, and the last thing on this list that goes with that shooting contingent is the Gunnery Sergeant on Troll, who also has Relentless, and that's just a typical scoring hero monster. He's just there with a little halfling on top, there to plink some shots off. This one in this list looks pretty good, so let's get into what his army looks like. No, we won't. We'll let's get into the scenario and what we have here on the table. So we have, as I will bring up the pen, so let's get a pen, laser pointer. There we go. We have hills, so hill and hill, forest, so pretty even so far, but all the forest on his side. Then we have an obstacle jutting out of one forest and an obstacle right here in the middle. Wonderful. And then we have a blocking terrain there, hut, another hut over here, and then finally for flat terrain we have one on the left side and then one in the opposite deployment zone, pretty much on the line. So that's the layout of the terrain, but what do we actually, what's the scenario? We're doing pillage. Pillage, this one was set, it's a random amount normally, but in tournaments they always set it to a particular level of number of tokens, so it's, you get the same score from everyone. So it's got five tokens, and we took turns laying them out, and you can see we've got one here, either side of this hill. There's one behind the forest because I put that there. I always learned that put something behind a forest. Also, it's a good idea to put something behind blocking terrain, but my army doesn't have that many things. I just want to sit back and chill. And then one here pretty much in the middle, because there's the middle there, and one far out here on the right. So we'll see how useful that is. But my idea, so what I was doing as I was putting these down is wherever he kind of put one, I tried to put one just over 12 inches away. So that's this pair and this pair, because I have a big horde of orcs that can easily straddle and cover both with its massive unit strength of 4. So that's my plan, is to take advantage of one of these depending on the side I get, but it won't be hard for you to know that since I'm taking pictures from this end, I probably got this side. And yeah, there it is behind there. That's just to make sure I didn't forget that there is a token behind that forest. And I did win this side, so yes, I'm deploying on this side. So let's get into deployment. I have, to opposite his fast flank, so here it is. He was deploying some of his fast stuff on this side, so we've got the Wild Runners both there, all Napoleonic cavalry, of course. And then we have the Juggers there, and Edge Grenadiers, and a Sorcerer. So that is one block of fast dudes that are all nimble. So they can't be left alone. That must be met. And I can't meet it with slow orcs because they'll just get beaten up. Probably not killed straight out, because all my orcs are pretty tough, defense 5 and stuff, but I'd rather something that can keep them at bay, and so I put down my fast stuff, which is the speed 10 flyers. So Hellstrikers there. So there's the Hellstrikers, and there's the Stormbringer on Hellstrike Manticore, and they're facing off there. And then I have my own chaff here, the Riftwalkers, that little troop. And then, obviously, as I said, I have put in between these two tokens my horde. So there's my horde of Riftforged Legionaries ready to march up onto that hill and ideally just sit there the entire game. That's the plan anyway. And then I have, from there on, in between the horde and this blocking terrain, I didn't have much space because I needed to fit the rest of the army in here. I didn't want anything out here on the right, because then I'm like, well, if I put something there, it needs something inspiring. And this list is actually not super inspired. I mean, it's not too bad because 2 of the inspiring sources come from very big things, like this Reborn Legionary here, and this Stormforged Shrine. But then a lot of things aren't inspired. And obviously I've got my my Stormbringer on Hellstrike Manticore. I'm just going to call him the Hellstrike Manticore. But obviously the Hellstrike Manticore is going with the Manticores. The Shrine isn't that fast getting around. It needs to stay with this stuff, and the Reborn Legionaries need to stay with all their things. So it's really quite limited in how I can kind of spread things out. So I didn't want anything on the right flank because it would be without inspiring. And so this is the way it's set up. So I've got my regiments spread out here. In between I have the Ambrox, or Ambroxes. So there's one Ambrox there, 2 Ambrox here. It's not how I like them, but I'm running out of room. I don't have another. I'd ideally have Ambrox Regiment, Ambrox Regiment, Ambrox, but there's not a regiment, but I cannot. So it's a bit of a shame, but that's how the deployment ended up. Maybe I should have optimized a bit better here, but I feel like I have not much more wiggle room. But yeah, what regiments I do have, we have here, that's one of the Riftforged Legionaries from the formation, and the other one is over here. The Unforged Orcs are in the middle, so they do benefit from that Wild Charge aura from the Reborn Legionaries here. They've got the couch. So the Reborn Legionaries, what they physically look like, different to the Riftforged Legionaries, is that they have giant hammers, two-handed hammers, while the other ones have shield and hammer. So, you know, they have crushing too, which is pretty good, but only 12 attacks. There's my little Riftforger, so it's a little individual on a heavy infantry base. There's my war drum, and there's the Stormforged Shrine. So that's my setup, pretty simple. And then on his side, he's also got his kind of battle group. So yeah, we've talked about the fast one going against my fast stuff, but we also have the Troll contingent, which is the 2 hordes of trolls straddling the Iron Beast, which is this guillotine, which is very appropriate. It's a cool setup. And behind those are the aeronauts, so that's pretty terrifying. And then on the right here, we have the 2 hordes of rifles. There's the gunnery sergeant, and the other edge grenadiers are behind them. And so let's take a look at his army. So here, pretty impressive. I mean, it just looks cool when you see all these guys ranked up, full model count kind of historical stuff. So they're 1 Halfling rifles. That's his gunnery sergeant, which is perfect. It's as if the troll just learned how to use a gun. So that's a really cool miniature. And just perfectly, kind of Cossack-y looking, but perfectly fits in with the whole theme. Up here we have some kind of, I think he said there were 3D prints for his edge grenadiers. These are like Leonardo da Vinci kind of flight suit kind of things, so definitely appropriate for this kind of army where we've got everything in the kind of, you know, the Renaissance 1800s kind of look. And yeah, obviously we have here another horde. He's used just normal mantic trolls, which I actually think, when I first saw them, you know, 12, 13 years ago, I thought, God, these guys look dopey. But, you know, having actually painted them, I'm like, nah, trolls are dopey anyway. Let's not take trolls too seriously. And everyone can make their own look of troll, and these guys are pretty funny. And yes, this is the Iron Beast, the guillotine. Vive la France is going forward, and it's just it's a cool centerpiece model. If anything, I think it just needs more guys with guns pointing forwards just to represent the shooting capacity. But otherwise, yeah, I can see the crushing. Just put your head in there. And there's the aeronauts without their pilots, but aeronauts all the same. And then over here, we've got a nice blurry shot where only one of the Wild Runners was in focus, but what are you going to do? So yeah, Wild Runners, and there's the Juggers. Turn 1. So I move up. Pretty simple when it comes to Riftforged Orcs. If you have any sort of difficult terrain, that unit is going to be going at speed 5. So then, unless you want other units all racing ahead, everything's going speed 5. So that's what happened. So because these Unforged Orcs hit the obstacle, everything else is just trying to keep a nice, smooth line. And then, I mean, there's not much point going too far forward because all we get in our reward is getting shot earlier. So we might as well just keep it pretty relaxed. So just moving up. Obviously, this horde's already in position now. It's straddling the 2 tokens, so does it need to move much more? Probably not. And I didn't need to move up too far because I didn't want to get into charge range of the Juggers. Or even, I think I'm in charge range of the Wild Runners, but with the difficult terrain in between, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't take that charge because he might not even do A damage. And if you're not doing A damage to a flying Manticore unit, then you're in trouble because then I get to just go. So that's the situation on that side. Pretty simple. There's not much to talk about. I did do some shooting, so obviously I've got my Ambrox, I've got my lightning bolts from my Stormforged Shrine, so at least some of that went into the trolls here for damage, but they do regen. This is him measuring some more shooting, and I think I did, but yeah, I think I just missed a whole bunch. I was trying to, I think I was just trying to shoot at his edge grenadiers because, you know, they're actually pretty low nerve, and if you can get some lucky shots off them, you can take them out. And Ambroxy can spike pretty high, so they're pretty good with that Blast E3. They can do up to 9 damage if they roll completely hot. And I've had them do up to like 5 damage, which is amazing from just one little shooting guy that's like 115 points. Not bad. But yeah, so he has moved up now, you can see. So this is his turn 1. His cavalry, very tentative. They're not really wanting to go out, but what he did do is with his gastromancy, rolled up rally, got rally 3. So these guys are very rallied up, so they're going to be hard to take out. The rest of the army, just very tentative. These forest trolls getting their eye into the forest that at least they can see, but the Iron Beast is pretty much blind. And we've got the rifles that have moved up here. Just because he was trying to keep him behind, but then he realized he just can't see. He wouldn't be able to shoot anything because none of this is particularly high or in range. He's not in range of this from his leader point. So he wanted to get up there so at least he can get some shots off. And then his other rifles have really got no eye on something. I think they could maybe get some shots off on here, but yeah. Not sure how to play with Halfling rifles. I think he got to sit back more than move up, but he wanted to move up at least a bit to start shooting. But you know, I got to get there at some point anyway, so you might as well just wait, I think. But he's got his gunnery sergeant, so at least that can do some shooting. So yes, some shots, better shots, I guess. And shooting was done, and it did a total of 1 damage to my defense for Unforged Orcs, which for now will be fine. Yeah, a bit of shooting there. Also, I think that was, yeah, the Wild Runners just doing a few shots onto my Manticores. But I did say they'd be okay, but he rolled double 6s and wavered my Unforged Orcs, which, you know, I was already complaining about the fact that if a unit bloody gets into some difficult terrain, they move just speed 5, but hey, what happens if they get wavered? They don't move at all, so it's slowing down my army even more. Turn 2. So, the whole idea of keeping a nice solid line between units has been thrown out the window because the unit got wavered, and I'm not going to wait for them to feel better. Riftforged Orcs aren't big into the whole mental health thing, so they just decided to leave them wavered and march on without them. And so that's what we've done. We've moved up another 5. So, yeah. Legionaries getting forwards, not really in charge range of anything, nor are they getting charged by anything. So still is a tentative phase where I'll just be doing some shooting. The only thing that hasn't moved up, obviously, not just the wavered unit, but the horde of Riftforged Orcs are just staying right back here with those tokens. I've learnt my lesson, you know. Sometimes you think, oh, I want to get my combat potential out of them, but sometimes you have a plan. You come up with your plan in your mind saying, this is what this will do in terms of the scenario, and that will leave me in a good position. I'll have 2 tokens. Don't ruin it. Don't try and self-sabotage yourself by then thinking later in the game, oh, but I really would like to get them in, and then you just march them off, which is, you know, I've been doing plenty of times. This time did not. So yes, the Riftforged Orcs are just sitting there. I've got my chaff, just kind of not really sure what to do. It was going to help out here, but look, the Hellstrikers are doing fine on their own. So the Hellstrikers, 1 Hellstrike unit gone to 1 chaff, and the Hellstrike, the Stormbringer, let's just call him Stormbringer because they don't have another Stormbringer in this army, so the Stormbringer's gone into the other unit, the other chaff. So hopefully we'll take out both, and then we can just face off against the Juggers. That's the plan anyway. So charged off there, and yeah, I'm trying to get my Riftforger up to maybe, you know, get in the way, do some early damage, but yeah, for now we're just going to have to do some shooting and settle for that. So shooting, did I shoot anything? Doesn't look like it. Looks like I went straight into combat, so yeah. Oh no, I'm just taking some nice pictures. So yeah, there we go, in combat, and then destroyed, to no one's surprise. And I did decide to shuffle back a bit. In this way, I'm hopefully not going to get double charged because these 2 units can't both get into this gap. So that's why I just went straight back, and these guys can't get out of the way. So I'm hoping everything's jammed up sufficiently that I'm not getting double charged, because that might actually take them out, because Juggers are okay, but then when you add in some brutal D3, I don't want to find out how that'll do. And I'm hoping also that these guys definitely shouldn't be able to fit in to the flank of my Stormbringer, so the Stormbringer should be fine. And the Stormbringer did do a decent amount of damage, 5 damage, but just not enough. Then over here, well, it's just, yeah, some shooting, but obviously if I didn't take a picture, it can't have been considerable enough shooting, not noteworthy anyway, so yeah, that's it. There's a 5 over there, so I must have done some shooting to some unit, unless that's just a 5 that was left there, so it's a nice picture, I suppose. No, so yeah, now this is his turn, so yeah, so that was the end of my turn, his turn. See, look at this, I've got to rehearse these and think these through, but he's moved in, so now the Iron Beast and the Trolls are in. It's a question of they're in range. Do I try and move up a bit further, or just let them charge out? Do I want to get double charged? Do I try and stop the double charge? These things are going through my head, but also it's just a regiment, so maybe I don't care. while some more shooting is going to come down from these rifles. So they... and over here, yes, so there we go, getting charged. So yeah, he couldn't do the double charge. He was trying to be like, oh, can it work? And yeah, obviously it can't. And so these guys just go back in, and we've got the sorcerer trying to get out of the way. He got only rally 1 this time, so the juggers aren't going to be as hard to kill. Some shooting was definitely done, just 3 damage on my Riftforged Orcs at the front here. That's alright, I can weather that. And 1 damage done by the juggers here, so they did manage to ground my Manticore, my Stormbringer. And 6 damage, no, it would have been, no, 7 damage, because my Life Leech would have healed that 1 I had before from the shooting. So 7 damage by the juggers, so yeah, it's nothing to worry about. Turn 3. Getting through these turns. So now the combat's really happening, at least on that side, but I've just moved up more with the army, so the Unforged Orcs are now coming up. I didn't move up much more because I kind of want everything to happen at once. I don't want to just send off 1 unit by itself, gets killed, 1 unit by itself, gets killed. I want things to be at the same time, so I'm just getting ready for that pounce. And I don't mind, because while I'm waiting, I can just keep shooting with the Amber Ox. And yeah, so just, yeah, moving up reasonably. I've got a kind of a line going here, and I'm trying to get these guys up at least to threaten a bit the horde of Riftforged legionaries. So they've got this kind of area of, you better not go here because you don't want 25 attacks crushing 1 melee 3. But yeah, realistically, they're not going anywhere. But at least by moving them up as far as possible, they can at least have an established threat zone. And they're coming off a hill, so that would be very painful for any of these units here. That is some shooting. It's a decent amount, so I think that just means 6, not 15. Maybe? Well, but yeah, that's the dice. So we've got 1 and a 5. It's best guess. Here, 5 damage done. Yeah, this was some terrible rolling. So yeah, just 5 damage by the Manticores. I mean, they lost their Thunderous, but come on. These guys are not that hard. But we did do 5 damage, and we wavered them at least, so that's something. The Stormbringer managed to take out his chaff. They are no longer... because before then they had Rally 3, very hard to take out. But Rally 1... not so bad, and he does have Brutal. They both have Brutal. So there we go, some damage done there. Now he moves up. The rifles keep coming forwards. I'm not sure why. I think he wanted to get fully on the hill so he'd stop having cover. Yeah, I think that's probably why. And these guys are kind of staying back, so yeah, it's that's kind of what his reasoning is. He just wants some better shooting from these ones. That's kind of the problem. When you take these kind of shooting units that are range 18, you put them into bad situations just because you want to get some shooting out, when really, maybe it's better just to keep them back. And if they get some shooting, fantastic. But if they're just kind of sitting there holding an objective, then that's also fantastic. So maybe moving up was not the best idea. But to be fair, this token is where he needs to get to. He wants to hold that token with all his unit strength. So that's probably what needed to be done anyway. But in the middle, still not taking any charges. The Iron Beast and the Trolls are not so sure that they want to just jump in here. And fair enough, because yeah, there's a whole lot of things that could then counter-charge. Like, well, mainly we've got the Horde that he's probably thinking about. I'm thinking I'm not moving this, but what he's thinking is perhaps that this is a major threat. So that's good. What's interesting is his Edge Grenadiers have jumped over, so they're going to cause some shenanigans here, just trying to, I assume, get into some flanks and harass me and make me generally annoyed. His Aeronauts have now turned to face the Hellstrikers because he can see the impending destruction of the Juggers, and doesn't want to leave that flank completely open for the domination by Hellstrikers. So yeah, that's a smart idea. He's still got an eye on anything down here, but yeah, the Aeronauts can see where the real threat is, and he just wants to protect his Trolls against that. These other Edge Grenadiers, not committed yet. They're still waiting, and I probably should have shot them, but I think it's just, yeah, these are defense 3, so it's just invites, because I can just pound damage into them. It's very fun. And now they're on the hill, no cover. I just get to shoot them heaps. So yeah, but I get shot too, and now it's starting to add up. So it's 9 damage on these Orcs here, just from all the rifles now finally firing down, and the gunnery sergeant. So it's a considerable amount of firepower. The other guys are taking some damage too, and that's just from the Iron Beast, which is just slowly trying to plink away. But yeah, it's had some tough time, after getting in the forest, so shooting with cover, and it's just yeah. The Iron Beast's main thing is not shooting. Turn 4. Now, I told you I was preparing, and here the execution comes. I have charged, the whole right has been engaged, so I've decided to shut down all that shooting. I've double charged the nearest and most damaged, mainly because I need to get these units out of the way, because I also wanted my Reborn Legionaries to get engaged, because they have the Wild Charge D3, so they were actually in charge range, if I rolled a 3, and I did, so they managed to charge off there. These guys got stuck in, so double charge there, one's hindered, but what are you going to do? And yeah, so hopefully enough to take out here. The Reborn Legionaries, these guys are pretty much undamaged. The Halfling Rifles are on the far right, so it's just going to start chipping away at them. But 12 attacks, even if they hit with everything and did 12 damage, it would be very unlikely that it would take them off. So that's going to take them a bit longer to grind through. In the middle, I am just putting myself in the forest so I can just move up, generally protect a flank. I think that was the whole idea, is just to move up and kind of present and be like, come on, charge me, charge me. But, you know, I didn't actually need to move into the forest probably, but I did want to protect that flank, so I've tried to close off that gap there. So yeah, just going forwards, and got the Amber Orcs kind of shooting off as to whatever they can now, because there's a whole lot less, so hopefully I'll take out some Edge Grenadiers. While over here, yeah, still just holding this objective. Wiggled my horde of orcs just to keep those Edge Grenadiers in my front, because I didn't want to be giving them an easy flank. Not that they're going to take them out or anything, but you don't want to just give that to people if you can. So this is just a little wiggle. That's all I needed to do. And the Riftwalkers still uncommitted, not sure what they're doing, but they're kind of just ready. That's probably also what's holding him back, because he doesn't want to go there and receive a flank from Riftwalkers. So yeah, look at me being smart and putting Riftwalkers and holding them back. Pretty good. Yeah, and I flanked the Juggers over there. So yeah, we've got that nice view here. 9 damage on these guys, so that's not good. I can't get wounds back very easily in this army. Maybe I should get a God Speaker with heal. Anyone ever use Riftforged Orcs with their God Speaker? Let me know, because I don't think Riftforged Orcs, unfortunately, they don't give them any bonuses to their casting. Yep, and we've got a flank here, so that looks pretty cool. Hopefully should free this up, get through. So let's see. Yeah, so there were whatever damage they had on, whether it was 15 or 6, all the extra damage from these guys, which would have been wounding on 2s, fantastic, managed to take them out nice and easy. So we've got the Unforged Orcs facing down this way, and I've got my damaged but Riftforged Orcs just facing the Gunnery Sergeant, because someone needs to. So yeah, they'll be copying a charge from him probably, and they might even kill them. Did 8 damage, which is fantastic from the Reborn Legionaries. But obviously, like I said, even if they did maximum, it was very unlikely they'd take them out. So the grind continues on that side. Then over here, we take out the Juggers, no surprise. I turn a bit with my Hellstrikers, so I can still see the Aeronauts, and the Aeronauts can see me if they want to get in. And I've got my Stormbringer also facing there. So he's got a bunch of targets to choose from, so which one will he go for? And here's his turn, so he went for the Stormbringer, the isolated Stormbringer, which I don't mind, because now I can just kind of hop over and leave the Aeronauts there. I mean, I don't want to lose my Stormbringer, but if something's going to receive an unknown amount of damage, because they could spike all the way up to, say, like 12 damage, I'd rather that go into the cheaper hero rather than my big expensive only true hammer unit. In the middle, the fight is finally on, so he's sent in the Iron Beast, the Pride of the Shires, into my slightly damaged Riftforged Orcs, and then the Trolls went into the Unforged Orcs, so they shouldn't have any problem there. Unforged Orcs are just Defenders 4, so they'll be wounding on 2s, they'll probably take him out, and stupidly I did not manage to get neither the War Drum within 6, nor my Inspiring, so they are in an uninspired position. I told you, the Inspiring is quite thin on the ground here, even though I have some big units, but really this whole army is so spread out now, and I just have 2 sources of Inspiring. This Shrine down here, which needs to be here, I mean, that's a pretty good position, it's covering quite a bit, and then all the way over here, the crazy Reborn that went off and decided to fight the Halflings because they wanted to hold them back while I killed the other ones. Was that the smart idea? Probably not. Imagine if they were still here, but then I'd get shot, so not sure what would be in the best cause, but yeah, now I'm not inspired for my poor Unforged. Good thing they're very cheap. And then the Gunnery Sergeant has indeed gone into my damaged Riftforged Orcs, so will they hold up? Well, here, 1 damage, oh, not 1 damage, but yeah, even the Sorcerer decided to go in, which is kind of funny. But yeah, how much damage do I take? Oh no, these are just close-ups. Are they? Or did I just straight up survive? I don't know, but there I am still. But you know, the Unforged are gone. No Inspiring on them, so they did not last. Over here, taking 1 damage, but so far so good. 8 damage here, so they went up from 2 to 6, so 6 damage from the Iron Beast. He's hidden on 4, so he's never that reliable. And yeah, 5 damage done to my Stormbringer. But still around. Not bad. Turn 5. So, the battle continues over here, so hopefully my Stormbringer can just weather the assault, but now that he's surrounded, he's going to find it difficult to get out of there, so he's just going to have to keep on fighting, because since he's flying, he has now lost his nimble, so he's just stuck. The Hellstrikers have just jumped right over, and now are threatening a whole bunch, all those trolls. That's exactly what he didn't want, and I'm happy with that. It took a while, turn 5, to be fair, but, you know, I did have a whole bunch of Halflings riding dogs to take out, and so take him out, I did. What else have I moved around? So he managed to move his Edge Grenadiers here, and now I'm just like, well, I can't really deal with that, so I'm just forgetting about it, but I have turned my Stormforged Shrine to face them and do some zaps. So that's the whole plan there. And then over here, I've got my, as the Riftwalkers were sitting there, they've now gone into the flank of the Iron Beast, but I'm not sure I can take it out because the Iron Beast is defense 6, super tough. So I've got my Riftforger going into the trolls. In hindsight, not a good idea. If you've got something that's setting up a flank, don't send an individual because they'll get to kill the individual and then overrun. And I don't think the Riftforger is capable of standing up to that, especially as, he's uninspired. We're another situation of uninspired, and I shouldn't have done that. But, yeah, well, hindsight. And my Amberox are looking in all kinds of directions. We're trying to get in the way of the trolls to protect our Riftforged Orcs, and so just putting him there, but it doesn't... I should have moved it a little bit further, but I didn't. I don't know why. Maybe that was as far as they could go, but I definitely should have moved a bit further. And so I managed to do lots of damage here and double ones. So I could have taken out these Halfling rifles, but still we are stuck into them with that double one. Over here we've done some damage to the Gunnery Sergeant, but he remains. And here I did like, yeah, a little bit of damage. Did he do any of the extra damage? I'm not sure if that was already from shooting, but yeah, a disappointing amount. And here I've done 2 damage to the Aeronauts, but definitely not enough to take them out. So yeah, sad. Manticore. He does at least get to heal a bit, but it's not going to be enough. And the Iron Beast remains. So let's see how Mitchell then takes advantage of this situation. Well, the Edge Grenadiers decided that it's not worth just jumping into a flank of the Riftforged Orcs, because what are they going to do? They're just going to do a little bit and then get lightning bolted again. So they decide to jump over. Oh, yeah, right. I forgot to mention the other Edge Grenadiers did get killed by the Amberox, so that's good. Amberox killed some Edge Grenadiers. They still haven't made their points back entirely, but they did do a lot of damage to Halfling rifles, so they're getting there. They're getting there, but yes. The one thing they didn't manage to do, and that's entirely up to me, it's not the fault of the Amberox, is that I didn't move it sufficiently to block the flank charge into my orcs. Maybe it's because I need to go at the double, and I was like, oh, no, but I want to shoot. So this is another case of just being distracted by the ability to shoot, when really that's more of a supplementary thing. I should have gone at the double, get this Amberox right in the way, and he'd just be charging an Amberox rather than going into the flank of my orcs, which is a statement you never want to say. So yeah, trolls in the flank, goodbye Riftforged Orcs. The Reborn Legionaries will be fine, they're just going to take another turn to get through those bloody Halflings. But yeah, so lots of charge, and obviously counter charge into the Riftforger, and we'll see how that eventuates. Well, the Stormbringer didn't last a second turn against the Aeronauts. The Aeronauts have finished them off. And here we can see the result of the Riftforger. The Riftforger perished underneath the weight of the trolls, and then the trolls continued smashing on now into my Riftwalkers, and the Riftwalkers are then also destroyed. So that's 2 things claimed by these trolls. The trolls, as I thought, they are the best trolls, and they're doing fantastic. They're the best part of his whole army. They're the MVPs. And then with the Riftwalkers gone, I guess the Iron Beast felt emboldened and managed to destroy the Riftforged Orcs that I had there in combat with them as well. So now the center of his army is completely unmolested, sitting there ready to take what I don't really have to give. I've got my Hellstrikers, but that's it. Just the Hellstrikers to jump in. And I guess a whole bunch of Amberox if you want to throw those at a defense 6 Iron Beast, but yeah, not great. Yes, and these Riftforged Orcs were also destroyed by the flank from the trolls, which is unsurprising. See that? That's 20. So either it's 20 or 20 plus, but either way they were devastated and destroyed. Turn 6. So it's now my turn 6. I continue just to keep my horde here. So at least, I got 2 tokens. So it's, not all is lost. That's not bad. And my Amber Orcs are now converging on these trolls because I need to destroy them. They are on a token. And if by just being within 3 inches, which I think each of these are, we actually cancel that out. So that's just a contested token. And I did manage to destroy the Iron Beast. So this is an after-action shot because I'm, getting a bit low on the clock, 5 minutes. So I just went into the flank of the Iron Beast. Iron Beast doesn't like flanks and destroyed it. So now my 𝓢𝓱𝓲𝓻𝓮 can face the trolls, and well, we just got to hold up, and because they're on top of a token there. Can we kill the trolls? That would be ideal. Get them off that token, because then we've got it. But that means we've got 2 here. We can get that 1 here, and no one's got the token all the way out here on the side, and this one's currently contested. So if I can get 3 tokens, pretty good. Even if I just hold these 2 and contest this one and contest this one, then I'm obviously winning. So that's just kind of holding pattern I got here. The Halfling rifles are finally scattered thanks to the long efforts of the Reborn. So the Reborn now are able to face these trolls, but can they take a charge for them? I don't know. They do have very high nerve, at least. They have that in their favor, but yeah, we'll see how these trolls go. So yeah, good on you, Reborn Legionaries. You're they're the last Legionaries apart from the Horde that are left. So of all the regiments, that's all that's pulled through. And so in his turn 6, the Aeronauts didn't have range, so they had to just come in. So that gives my 𝓢𝓱𝓲𝓻𝓮 a turn to figure out how to destroy trolls. The trolls have turned to face, so it's going to be a front charge, and it's going to be hindered because we're in the forest. So we'll just see how we manage to go with that. One of the Amber Orcs gets a rear charge from the Edge Grenadiers that have, pretty much circumnavigated the battlefield. So that's probably the dead Amber Orcs, but the Edge Grenadiers aren't all that. And the Gunnery Sergeant has decided to hold up the the Reborn, to go in and hold them up a bit, while the trolls just sit there because, yes, they are indeed on a very important objective. And he decided not to turn around because he still wants to face these Reborn, and not just turn to face the Amber Orcs. And I mean, this could be the end of the game. So, right now that's contested. This one here, that is contested because, yeah, unit strength 3, unit strength 3. So yeah, he's hoping for a turn 7. So yeah, that's us measuring. He does manage to take this out. So by taking out one of the Amber Orcs, now he has that token. So now all he needs to get is the 1 more. Because I've only got, unit strength 1 on those 2 Amber Orcs, and we've got the trolls taking it. Turn 7. And so turn 7 was rolled, 4+ happened, and the game continues, which is exactly what he wants. But I'm going to try and take that and use it against him. So the Amber Orcs decide, well, we could be shooting, but we get more attacks charging, even though they don't have crushing. So off we go, charging into the rear and the flank of the trolls. The Gunnery Sergeant managed to kill my Reborn all by himself, so you don't have to worry about that anymore. Unfortunately, he's not going to be able to get to that very distant objective. So like I said, that one was completely forgotten about. It might as well be pillage with 4 tokens. And over here, I've obviously charged into the trolls because I need to get rid of them on that token. So that's the plan. Everything else is kind of looking around. So I guess my Stormforged Shrine can maybe cast a Bane Chant or 2. But at this point, it's got very few Riftforged Orcs near it, so it doesn't actually get that much casting capability out of it anymore. Because it has like Bane Chant 1, so then +1 for, I guess, the 𝓢𝓱𝓲𝓻𝓮, so Bane Chant 2. So just a normal Bane Chant, so I can cast Bane Chant 2 and maybe Bane Chant 1 on something else, but yeah, not much left. So here, did some damage, so there's 7 damage there. I think that's the first time they've been properly damaged. But yeah, not enough to take them out. And here, well, this shows me getting charged, so that is... obviously, I failed to kill the trolls. We can't see how much damage it's to the trolls, but I failed. Aeronauts coming to the flank. You don't want Aeronauts in the flank. And yeah, the trolls here, so that's his, so I managed to fail to kill them, so I'm getting charged in the flank in his turn 7. He has now that unit strength here, so if he manages to kill it, well, if he kills them, then obviously he gets the token, but it's, I think the token's right here, so right now he is not within 3, so he needs to kill it to take this token, and here, he doesn't need to kill these guys to keep this token. So if he can get these 2, then it'll be a draw. So yeah, the combat's on, and he's got a rear charge here, 5 damage on this Amber Orcs, and the trolls going to the front of this Amber Orcs, 4 damage here. Can he take them out? No, they still stick around. Low nerve rolls, and then here, what he rolls? Double 1s. double one on the Hellstrikers. So it was, who knows how much, I don't know, that's my dice. That must have been here. They went up to 20. They went up well beyond 20. You know, they're absolutely devastated. But he rolled a double ones. So, with that, it was a victory. I have 2 tokens. He has 1 over here, definitely, because thanks to his Edge Grenadiers getting in. But he does not get this token. So, it is a 2v1 victory for the Riftforged Orcs. Not bad for their first game, I gotta say. So, what do you guys think of my list, how I played it, and what do you think of Napoleonic Halflings? Not a bad look, I reckon. They're slightly multi-based because that's just how historicals are done, but imagine them fully multi-based would be cool. I suggested that each of the Halfling Rifles units should have one of their, like the unit of 4 little mini multi-base taken out and replaced with like a mini guillotine or something fun to make them just kind of, you know, silly Napoleonic, because, you know, if you're going to play Napoleonics in a fantasy game, you might as well just go, well, what if? What would make them fantasy-ish? And I think it would just be guillotines everywhere. He's already got one thing for the Iron Beast, like a giant guillotine on wheels. Why not more? But yeah, so it was a very, very cool army to face. Great game. And yeah, as you saw, quite a few double ones happening there. And double ones do make things rather exciting. Sorry about that. So, victory 1. Now it's on to game 2, which I'll put up very soon, and we'll see how high I go and how high and how low that might set me back if I lose. So, otherwise, keep caffeinated. Like, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff. It really does help. And oh yeah, we just got past 1,100 subscribers, which is something I never thought I'd be saying for my Kings of War channel. So as far as the Kings of War world goes, that's pretty dang good. So yeah, thank you for watching this content, and if you like it, just let me know in the comments, and yeah, any tips on how to play Riftforged Orcs or any large infantry armies, because they are tricky, and I would like any advice that you have to give.